Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got this wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way. Hey, remember the other day? I was gonna caulk that. Well, before I caulked it, I cleaned off all of the black tar mastic there. See how nice and clean that is? It took the paint off, and that's because that black tar was sitting on there for probably at least a year. And I cleaned that all off. I scraped it off, and then it was all black and tarry there. I just took some WD-40 and a little scrub, well, a toothbrush, and I kept going back and forth, got it all off, and then I cleaned it, sprayed it with WD-40 again, and wiped it off with a paper towel. Now I'm ready to caulk that. How about that? That's not really what I was going to show you, though. We're going over this way, and we're going to check out these stairs. It's been 3 days now, and you and I are going to figure this out together, whether or not I can coat these again now, because I came out here the next morning and they were still really mushy and stuff. And this is 3 days later. I'm going to push on here and see, I can depress it a little bit. See there? But the majority of it is hard. And there's some, look at that, how it made that right there. There's some that I had to pour on thicker than others, especially this bottom stair. Remember that? Remember how full I put that, and it looks pretty flat, doesn't it? See, when I depress on it, it's almost like the Pillsbury Doughboy, the Michelin Man. When I can depress on it, that's because it was so thick there. And I think I can, see, there's a little bit more depression right there too. But I think it's hard enough right on the front of each one of these to where I could step on there and put my my knee pad on there, and then go up and recoat these with a little bit more. And I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. So I don't have my work pants on yet or anything. I just wanted to walk out here and make the decision. Do I do something yet or don't I? And see, this one I can see the depressions when it dried and stuff, but this one's hard. These I don't have as much as these last couple ones. Even this one I poured on quite a bit, but that feels hard there. There's a little depression right there, but it's towards this back, because this is the part that was a lot more than I had to put on here. That stuff worked really good. My roofing material. So I think I can I get my my work clothes on and come back out here, and I'm going to put some more on. Now see, on this, you see now how I could just put that in my drywall pan and coat this with my putty knives, my drywall knives. I shouldn't have to pour it on this time. I'm going to pour it right in my sheetrock pan and use it like skimming material, and I think it'll work, and it should be good enough. Now, could I leave these steps like this for all winter? Yeah, I could probably leave it like this, but because I have a little bit more material, I'm going to go ahead and coat it and make it look a little bit nicer. It's in a position right now where I don't really believe it's going to leak this winter, but I'm just going to put a little bit more on, and we're in mid-October. The sun is a-shining. Oh yeah, that feels good on my face. Oh yeah. And we're going to have some good weather for the next couple weeks, I imagine. And even though this is, I can depress on here, this is still drying. It's the top part of the roofing material has skinned over, and the more days, the more likely this is going to harden up before winter. Okay, this right here is going to harden all the way up, and it should be just fine. That's just what this stuff does. It depresses like that, and the more time you give it, the more it's going to harden up, and you'll be able to just walk on that no problem. And that works just great for roofs. And like I said before, I'm coating this and I'm treating this just like this is a rooftop, just like that's a roof, that's a roof, that's a roof. Caulked it, put the webbing tape on there. If you haven't seen all those videos, and if this is the first time you're just joining me and you're wondering what the heck is Video Joe got himself into this time and why is he doing this, you can find out all the reasons why I've done this way and why I didn't do it a different way, and how I treated these stairs and what I did before now, putting all the different things on there. You can go to my YouTube playlists and find it. And to find my YouTube playlists, go to my main YouTube channel page. When you're on that main channel page, you'll see at the top it'll say videos, all videos, and about, and something else, and playlists. Click on playlists and it will take you to a page, and then you'll have to scroll down to dry rot deck repairs or dry rot deck stair repairs. Right now I just have everything in dry rot deck repairs, but I might change that. I don't know. I might change it, I might not. You'll find these in dry rot deck repairs for sure, because I repaired the top deck there, and I've got hundreds of videos that shows what I did to that top deck and how I made that look nice and pretty again. You'll find all that on my channel. Okay, so I'm gonna go get my work clothes on, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm almost ready to get into this, but don't get all gung-ho and think, okay, I'm just going to get this in, slap it in there, and be gone, and all that kind of stuff. You got to do a little bit of prepping, and I've already done that. And I'm also noticing the sun is almost over the house, and that way this will be nice and shady the entire time. So I'm gonna kind of hang out until this is nice and shady, because I don't want to put this on in the direct sunlight if I can help it, because that might make it so that it's not going to cover 100% like I want it to, because it's in the sun, and then it's going to get hot and dip down and stuff. And speaking of that, speaking of getting hot, I went ahead and caulked that the second time while I was waiting. And the other thing I did is I felt along the edges of this, and anything that was high, just little nodules, you know, just little pieces. I got my putty knife out, and I scraped these off. Okay, because that way when I skin this, I don't hit just a little tiny thing or a little bump that kind of was on there, because then I won't be able to get my stuff on there nice and clean and smooth, because it's going to hit that ripple, and just that one little bump is going to create a line, or I'm going to have to put that much more material on. I really don't want to do that. Okay, and I also noticed when I stepped down on here, this stuff still moves around. So I had my 2 feet in there, and I pushed everything back down with my putty knife, you know, flatten it down. As long as I can get the high spots kind of moved down, then I think I can cover it. And I try to mash this one down a little bit, but this one is pretty hard, and so I don't really want to mess with it any more than I have to. I had a little bit of tar on my putty knife when I was doing that, so I've got some little black marks, but those will be covered up. And what I was saying is, speaking of in the sun, I went ahead and caulked when I had the caulking out. Oh, look at that bush, isn't that pretty? When I had the caulking out, I went ahead and caulked this up here, but the sun was beating down on it. And here's a tip: when you're on the exterior of your house or wherever you're at getting ready to caulk, and if it's really super hot out, you only get one go at caulking that and trying to smooth it down with your finger, because I tried to go over it, and it had already started skinning up. See right in there, it's not very clean, is it? Because I went back over it, it had already skinned up in less than 2 minutes. And the caulking, when you put it on there, it's kind of more thin and gooey as you put it on, because you're right in the sun. And so I thought, okay, I'll wait for this to dry, and after it dries in the shade, you know, in a couple hours, I'll put another bead of caulking over that, and then I'll be able to fix all that. I can't fix it when it's in the sun. Do you see what I mean? And I went ahead and caulked that again and stuff, getting that all ready, because once you open a tube of caulking, you want to use it the sooner the better. You don't want to let your caulking get 6 months old or whatever and then go over it thinking, oh yeah, I'll do it later. And then it's harder to get out of your caulk tube on the tip. You may have to cut the tip bigger and all that kind of stuff. So I'm leaving this out here, and I'm leaving the caulk tube in the shade. If it was all sunny out here and the sun was going to be here all day, I'd leave this out in the shade, because all it takes is a little bit. You keep this out in the sun and let it sit there for hours on end outside, and then caulk. It's kind of tricky. You'll see what I'm talking about, because it comes out, it flows out a lot thinner and wetter and gooier when you have it in the sun all day long. And so, dabbity dabbit, my loss is your gain. And speaking of waiting for this, I got a few more minutes. See, I got a few more minutes. You can see now how it's all nice over here. I'm waiting for this, and while I was waiting, I thought I'll get everything ready. I swept all this down again, and this time I'm going to put my roofing material, my Henry's Enviro White Extreme Elastomeric Roof Coating, the 12-year. I got another 1.5 gallons of that, but I'm only going to use less than a half gallon. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my little plastic drywall pan. And speaking of that, I took my little putty knife and I scraped this out nice and clean and stuff, because I don't want to get goobers in this and get it in there. You get little bits in there and you try to skim out something. That goes for sheetrock mud too. You try to skim something out and you don't clean your pan out properly, you're going to get little bits in here, and you're going to find some new cuss words for sure. And this happens, because this is plastic, it happens to have a little metal piece on here. See? And so I cleaned off the edge of that, I scraped off the edge of that, I scraped the inside. I've used this pan so much. Look, there's supposed to be another one of those metal pieces over here, and it came out and bent out and everything, but I still can use this pan because I've still got one edge. You keep that nice and clean and straight, so it's easier to wipe off on your knife, and your knife doesn't get little goobers that were on here. So I scraped this out, swept that out, got that all ready and all that, and I'm just kind of hanging out here, just waiting for a few more minutes. Hey, I'm not in that big of a rush. I don't want to mess this up, okay? And see down here, see right in there, right down in there. from there down, I might be able to fix that. Some of the concrete that I had on that step riser had flaked off, and I wasn't going to scrape off all of it or anything, and I left it, and I put the webbing, well, I put the cloth tape over that and put some other stuff, but I can still see that. I can take my putty knife with some mud. I call it mud. It's not going to be mud. It's going to be this, right? And I'll put it on there. Some of it's probably going to fall down because it's on the vertical, but I'm going to see if I can't make that a little bit better than it is. And you know, it just gives you a little bit of time to take a look at this, see what you're going to do, what your game plan is. Was I going to use this? I'm probably not going to use that, but I'm leaving that out because when I start pouring this out into here, I'm going to have to take my where is it, my little brush, clean off the edge, and then when I put this on with my knife, if I have to clean off any of these front edges, I will, and then I'll just set that over like that. Okay, I even got this water in my bucket, a sponge here with the scrub brush side on that. I like to try to keep my hands as clean as possible when I'm putting this stuff on, and it came in nice and handy when I was doing it the other day. You saw I got it all over my hands. I had this bucket of water right here, cleaned everything off right there, spent extra time cleaning off all my knives, you know, so that they're all ready to go. I did that the other day because nothing worse than having dry stuff on there and not having it ready when you need it. Okay, and so you see just the amount of time I've been talking. The sun was about here. Now it's over here, and you know, 10-15 more minutes, I'll be ready to rock and roll. I got my knee brace on. I've got my pad, my knee pad down here. I've got my back support brace on. I've got all the comforts of home and all ready to rock and roll in a few more minutes.